Here at the border between Virginia and North Carolina lies the Virginia International Raceway. This 3.27-mile road course stretches over the hills and through the forests, creating tough conditions for our drivers today. Multiple blind corners and fast elevation changes make driving this track clean very difficult. Even more difficult is coming home with the victory. This is the IRPAS presented by STAM Studio Network. Good afternoon and welcome to tonight's event. My name is Christopher Roscoe. Alongside myself is Robert McKay. Lucas Holler is leading the pro class points with Michael Zygmunt and Sam Bentley close behind. Shane Wells leading the AM class points with Fran Tomas and Brady Woltz being close behind. Qualifying just finishing up right now as you see the driver's order going on your screen right now. We're in for an entertaining race here tonight for race number 2 of this Season 4 GT3 series. Here in Alton, Virginia, full course competition, 70 degrees out, 52% humidity. It's going to be tough conditions for our drivers today, as the grid is just about set for tonight's event. Qualifying is over. Drivers making their last few attempts at a turn, making a lap. Count here at VIR, looking at the oak tree down the back straightaway. Robert McKay, this track, very hard with all the hills and the forests, all these blind corners. How do you put yourself in the right mindset for a track like this, knowing how difficult it is to get around here?
Well, you almost have to think of it as a roller coaster, right? That's how I think of it when I race at tracks like this. It's always the up and down, the left and right, very unstable sometimes, depends on what GT3 car you're in, and you never know what's going to happen next.
Lucas Kjoller put his, or Alexander Kjoller put his Acura on pole, followed by Lucas Holler, Sam Bentley in third, Timothy Parquet in fourth, Michael Zygmunt fifth, Samuel Cruz in sixth, Biscayne Lawless in seventh, and Shane Wells qualified eighth. Matthew Shura qualified ninth. Ari Sipon qualified 10th. Our own Sean Stam qualifying 11th. Sean Roberts rounding out the top 12. Other notable drivers, Dan Fendick starting back in 17th. Travis Farmer starting 14th. Peter McDade starting 13th. Cameron Foss starting 19th. And Brian Reyes starting 21st, rounding out the field.
Yeah, this was a very tight qualifying session with everyone qualifying within 1 to 3 seconds of each other. It's definitely going to be an interesting race here.
As we look, 40-minute time to race for tonight's event. Full course configuration here at Virginia International Raceway. A staggering 3.24 mile road course, 80-degree track temperature. That's going to make this track very slick for everyone else, as the grid starts to pull off the pace field, or pulls off pit road to start tonight's event.
And as you said about the track being very hot, I feel like we're going to see a lot of slipping and sliding tonight, especially from those guys in the back like Lucan Breedlove, who might be trying to push their equipment to try to get a faster lap and might slide off the track here.
That 9 car, Lucas Kiola, your points lead for the Pro Series. Qualified second. That's going to help him try and keep that points lead. Michael Zygmunt trying to chase down for that Pro points lead, qualifying all the way back in 7th in that Ford Mustang GT3. My mistake, he's in the Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, they're all relatively the same. It's only a body. I gotta say, very impressive qualifying from the 73. Just edging out Lucas Haller in the 9. Very impressive lap. Hopefully he can hold on to it.
Shane Wells, your AM class points leader, running the Acura tonight, qualifying 6th in tonight's event. He's going to have a good chance to keep his AM class points lead intact here tonight. As the field makes its way down towards the Oak Tree turn and onto the back straightaway, pace lights, the lights on the pace car are out. Meaning next time we hit the start finish line, we're going green. What's Robert McKay? You've raced before. You've been in GT3 races and road course races. What's your mentality if you're starting from towards the back of the field? What's your mentality on trying to get towards the front?
Honestly, survive. Especially when you have a mixed class race like this, where you have a whole bunch of people of differing speed and experience. It is very, very, very hard to, well, survive. The biggest thing we're trying to get from the back to the front is to get there as fast and as cleanly as possible. If you go plowing through the field, you're never going to see the second lap. So it's all about surviving and having the mentality of you're not going to win it on the first lap. You're not going to get to the front on the first lap. It's a strategic mind game trying to get yourself from the back to the front.
Another thing to consider is the other drivers. How much do you push the other drivers? And how much do you let other drivers push you?
Well, with these GT3 cars, I would say not a whole lot. I mean, they aren't as fragile as Formula cars, but if you give them enough beating and banging, they will break. So, obviously, you have to be respectful to the people around you, but at some point or another, you might have to give them a little shove out of the way.
Pace car dives towards pit road as we get ready to race. Waiting on the officials for the flag. And here we go. Green flag in the air. We're racing here at Virginia International Raceway. As the field makes its way towards turn 1 for the first time at speed.
Very clean turn 1 and 2. But again, once those tires warm up due to this track, I don't think it'll be clean for much longer.
80-degree track temp out today. That's going to cause a lot of slippery conditions for our racers today.
Absolutely,
Alex,
and especially
go ahead.
especially if you hit the grass here, that is going to be deadly. Because not only you're going to hit the grass, but once you slide on that track, it is going to be super hot.
Alexander Kjoller from the pole, already out to an early lead as we head down to the Oak Tree turn and down the long back straightaway.
It seemed to kind of file out here a little bit. Not a whole lot of passing going on. Oh, we have some passing in the back, but besides that, it is pretty much a single file choo-choo train.
Riding on board with Lucas Holler towards the latter half of this race. Very difficult section. This last little bit, turns 12 through 17. As we ride on board, see how he navigates this while trying to chase down your race leader. Clean first lap in the books. 38 minutes left in this race. About 2-minute lap times. Some of the faster guys running about 1 minute 45-second lap times. We'll see how long this stint lasts before we have someone inevitably make a mistake with how difficult this track is, Robert.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said towards the beginning of the broadcast, which I described as a roller coaster, it is a very hilly track. I know, especially with these GT3 cars, if you take one of those hills way too fast, you will get air and you will get loose.
One of the biggest things about this GT3 class is how much downforce these cars have compared to something like a oval-based NASCAR stock car, or even lower class like BMW M2s or the GT4 class. But you hit a corner wrong, and that downforce is gonna turn from your friend to your enemy and make you spin real quick.
Yeah, I think the perfect example of this is the GT3 cars actually at Lime Rock. At Lime Rock, when you come out of, I forget which corner, there's a huge hill. If you hit that hill the wrong way, you will get air and you will get loose. Honestly, I would not be surprised to see something very similar to that today here at VIR.
Alexander Kjoller still out in front. Leads lap 2 of this 40-minute timed race.
But
So
Lucas
passing
Holler is
towards the
not out of the...
3 wide towards the back of the pack, narrowing down to 2 wide. Look at this, 2 wide into turn 1. This isn't going to end well.
Looks like they got out of there relatively clean. Surprisingly, but how much longer is that going to last?
Harry Sitbon out of France loses 2 positions out of that maneuver down the front straightaway. Now has our very own Sean Stam right on his rear bumper. And don't look now, Travis Farmer also trying to chase down.
Yeah, very, very tight field tonight, with the top 10 only being separated by about 8 seconds, which in road course racing is pretty impressive. In oval racing, it's more of like a Kyle Larson kind of whooping. But here in road course racing, that is extremely impressive. And don't count out Lucas Holler for the lead. He is only 1.15 seconds as the 51 and the 8 make contact.
Side by side down the back straightaway. You're right on board with Ari Sitbon down this long back straightaway. Hard braking zone. All 4 of these in no bubble.
And as you said, as that hard braking zone down on the backstretch, I would not be surprised tonight if someone tries to push their equipment too much, brake a little bit later, and go right off into the grass.
It's a hard braking zone to hit because you hit the brakes before that first left-hander, and then you're on the brakes throughout that first corner, trying to get mowed down to that second corner. Is Ari Sitbon diving down the inside of Peter McDade into turn 1. Wisely backs out of it. We stay single file green.
If he did not back out of it, he would have spun that 109. He could have spun 109. I really like that paint scheme. Reminds me of the Renault from 2005 in Formula 1.
Alexander Kjoller, your race leader, still pulling away from Lucas Holler. But Lucas Holler not letting him get away too far, still in his sights.
Oh, and someone just went off the grass here on the backstretch. The white BMW.
As the 5 machine of Biscayne Lawless One off track, lost a few positions. Oh, it's Sitbon and McDade side by side. Once again.
Yeah, it looks like Biscayne, as we said, pushed way too hard, clipped the grass in the curb, and went around. Great save, though, keeping it in the grass and not wrecking out anyone else, and not hitting that inside wall.
Travis Farmer makes his move on Sean Stam, moving up to 9th. Now trying to chase down Sean Roberts. Shane Wells qualified in 8th, made up one spot in 7th, and is currently the leader of the AM class series. Your points leader for the AM class is leading the AM class, and it's looking like he's going to extend his points lead today.
And as I'm looking down the running order, got to give a big shout out to Sean Roberts, who's 2nd in the AM class right now. Starting in 12th and now in the 8th position. He's our biggest mover of the day so far.
I'll have to make a modification of that. Travis Farmer sitting 9th has been up 5 spots. Qualified 14th, currently sitting 9th. He is our biggest mover, up 5 spots.
Oh, and as the 54 went off, and the 09 is off track. Big checkup by the 109 to avoid. Luckily, looks like he blinked, and as the 109 goes off, looks like he has trouble.
Let's take another look at that spin by Travis Farmer.
And as we were just talking about him.
Commentator's curse. This is turn 3, a very difficult track to... Very difficult corner to master right. Just goes wide. Tries to put down the throttle, spins out. Holds his brakes. And just lets everyone pass.
Yep, again, as we said at the beginning of this race, hot track. It is very hot tonight, as the track temp right now is 83 degrees. The 5, who spun earlier, is now hunting down the orange Mercedes as he makes the pass. Great overtake on the 63.
Let's go back live. Travis Farmer falling all the way to 17th position. Making Lucan Breedlove in that 247 machine your biggest mover, up 6 spots from where he qualified, sitting 14th.
And now I feel bad that we gave Travis the commentator's curse, because he is an excellent driver, and he was the biggest mover of the night, making up a lot of positions. Now he sits all the way down in, 17th.
19th as he comes down pit road.
Now, is his day done, or is he just coming down pit road for a fresh set of tires?
Probably some repairs. Looked like he may have gotten hit. Look back at your leader, Alexander Kjoller, still holding that race lead over Lucas Holler. This gap only 2.5 seconds. Still a tough track to navigate. Looks like Lucas Holler is trying to track down and become the class of the field. We ride along board him down the long back straightaway. As he crests this hill, it's a blind hill. And then into the hard braking zone at turn 12. Blind corner here. Another sharp right. Blind apex. Blind corner here.
Yeah, those blind corners is what can kill you sometimes. Especially if someone spins on the bottom of that blind corner or hill and you come up and he's right there, you have nowhere to go.
No reaction time around blind corners, but that's what makes racing so fun, is that unknown of what's going around this track. Lucan Breedlove right on the bumper of Brady Woltzman. This is the battle for 13th.
And just ahead of them is the 5 of Biscayne Lawless. The guy who spun earlier in the race, slowly inching his way back up to the back. Do you think we'll see him late race?
I think Biscayne Lawless has a chance to come back towards the field. He's been pulling away from this battle for a number of laps now, and it looks like he's going to be looks like he's gonna be the one of our biggest movers. Mikkel Zygmunt sitting second in the points, up 2 spots from where he qualified, trying to chase down Lucas Haller for second. I think his sights on Alexander Kuehler and hoping Alexander Kuehler makes a mistake, as he's been pulling away for the majority of this race. Already a 3-second lead between him and Lucas Haller.
Yeah, but we are only a few laps into this race, and it's not like he's absolutely leaving them in the dust. He is inching away. So hopefully he's using for Lucas Haller and Michael in the 911. Hopefully he's using up some of that equipment trying to pull away from them, and later in the race they're able to gain on him. You hear that term a lot from drivers and commentators, using up your stuff. It's when you push the car way too hard for too long, mostly with tires, especially in oval, where you squeeze everything you can out of the car early on and you got nothing left later.
Very easy to do at a difficult track where you're trying to force the car to do things it doesn't want to do, and that's detrimental later in the run, as you'll lose the ability to be able to force the car to do stuff. The car's going to be a lot more willing to move around on you. That's going to cost you time as you try and basically relearn how to drive the track with how your equipment's faded. If you let your car move around as it wants to earlier in the run and potentially lose time, it'll let you be able to have more control over your car later in the run.
Exactly, and as we look down back to the pack, we have a 3-car battle here for 13th, 14th, and 15th between the 63, the 247, and the 1. Oh, as the 247 goes off, hits the inside wall, and that might be his race.
Almost pulls right in front of Brian Reyes at 247. Doesn't look like too much damage, but it might be enough for him to come down to pit road. As it looks like there's some damage on that front end.
Yeah, luckily he hit one of the very rare few parts of the track where it is a tire barrier and not a literal
Armco barrier.
Guardrail. So he got very lucky. If he were to hit that guardrail, his race probably would have been over. But
Timothy Park, Timothy Park in that Ford Mustang GT, or Samuel Cruz in the Ford Mustang GTE, gaining on Timothy Parka in the Porsche McLaren, or not McLaren, Porsche 911. This is the battle for 5th position.
Porsche McLaren.
I'm pulling a Rick Allen.
Yeah.
This is the battle for 5th position right here between Cruz and Park. Both of them in the Pro Series. Samuel Cruz trying to defend. He's sitting 5th in points currently. Timothy Parka having 0 points. Currently trying to get some more and get his name in the hat for the championship.
And as I'm looking through the field, someone caught my eye. The 5, Biscayne Lawless. He is up to 11th position and is chasing down the 51 of Ari Sitbon in the McLaren. As he said, we might see him late race, but we might see him a heck of a lot earlier than that.
Here's the battle between Samuel Cruz and Timothy Park. Down to Oak Tree, onto the back straightaway.
25 might try to get the slipstream on the one-away going down this backstretch, or outbrake them. But coming through this blind hill, that could be a very fatal mistake, trying to brake later.
Oh, you were called it. Braking later. And it works out in his favor.
He is right on the back bumper of that Porsche. Great position to try to make an overtake or a dive bomb as he clips the grass a little bit. Trying to push his equipment. Now it looks like he's setting up for a dive bomb heading into the first corner.
And don't look now. Here's the AM class driver, Shane Wells, looking to try and poach a couple positions.
He is just stalking them like a hawk, just sitting there. either waiting for a mistake or waiting for the perfect opportunity to pounce.
Sean Stam also right on the bumper of Sean Roberts. The battle of Sean's going on it right now.
But right behind them, 5 seconds behind in P10, is again Biscayne Lawless in the 5. Slowly making up ground, slowly gaining on Sean, both Seans. Do you think he'll catch up to them very shortly?
Man, with how the two Seans have been racing each other, if this Biscayne Lawless can catch, I don't know if he's going to be able to get around him, depending on how hard the Seans are going to be fighting each other.
Oh, and as he goes off the grass, he's sideways! Oh, commentator's curse again as he cuts the corner. He'll probably get a slowdown penalty for that.
Keeps
I
it
gotta
going
stop
straight,
talking
no
about people.
damage. Man, you're really screwing people over.
Yeah, I just gotta shut up at this point.
John Jennings on Brady Woltman. This is the battle for 13th. Both of them up 2 positions from where they started. Brian Reyes, 1 spot back in 15th. Your biggest mover of the race so far. Up 6 positions. Peter McDade, not having the day he wants. Back 8 spots from where he qualified. Currently running into the 21st position. Bringing up the tail of the field.
He is struggling, and he did wreck out earlier, get damage earlier when the 09 of Travis Farmer went
Zygmunt off the track. Here at turn 2. That's going to cost him the spot. He's going to fall back to 4th position. Now, into the clutches of Timothy Park, Samuel Cruz, and Shane Wells. Matthew Sherwood off the grass right as we cut to him. He was right behind Biscayne Lawless. He gets off the grass in turn 2. Able to keep it going and still able to be right behind Lawless.
Yeah, that helped out Biscayne a little bit, taking some of the pressure off him. But the pressure is very much still there, as he now has 5-6 seconds to Sean Stam because of his little, it's called an oopsie, coming out of the corner.
Off-track excursion. Travis Farmer makes
as the 8 takes his own excursion. Did the exact same thing Biscayne Lawless did as he parks it in the grass. His day might be over. I didn't see much damage, though. He just might have been over with it at this point.
I didn't either. But there also may have been a wall hit off camera. Travis Farmer off pit road, already making up spots as he passes Dan Fendick and Lewis Cheshire, making his way back up to 17th and slowly making his way back up through the field.
As something I have noticed, Lucas Haller slowly gaining on our leader, Alexander, in the 73, now down to 2.7 seconds. Do you think he'll catch up to him, or do you think this is just a fluke?
It may be something, I don't know. Looks like they're both running very similar lines. Maybe Kjoller made a mistake at some point. Slight one, messed up one of the corners.
That is what I'm thinking, because the last lap that Kjoller ran was a 1:45.728, and the last lap Lucas ran was a 1:45.988. So very close, but still Alexander is slightly pulling away. But these two are in a league of their own, as the next guy behind them is Sam Bentley in the 37, who is 11 seconds behind. Lucas and Alexander are putting on a clinic tonight.
Lewis Chester, Dan Fendick in a battle here for 17th. Going down the front stretch towards turn 1. Trying to chase down Travis Farmer as well. And this battle between Shane Wells, Samuel Cruz, and Timothy Parka getting heated. If you're Samuel Cruz, how hard are you pushing right now, knowing you have the chance to have a position gained in front of you and the potential to lose a position from the car behind you?
Well, the pressure for him is probably immense, But the one thing you have to do is don't push your equipment too hard. I've done it a numerous amount of times where you're trying to keep the guy behind you in your rear view, but also trying to pass the guy in front of you as he goes for a dive bomb attempt into the first corner. And does he successfully do it? Yeah, almost. Looks like
Side
the
by
runaway might get the run out of the corner.
side by side, Samuel Cruz, Timothy Parker, back and forth. Shane Wells right there trying to capitalize. This is a battle for 4th position.
As it looks like the 25 ran off a little bit side by side, 25 and 99. He keeps the 99 in his rear view, as I said earlier. Again, the pressure is immense, trying to pass the guy in front of you and keep the guy behind you in your rear view.
Brady Walton down pit road. May have been. He's had a number of off tracks. Wonder if he's found a wall or two, getting some damage repaired.
And it looks like just a 4-tire change. He's back out on track. Maybe each had worn tires. Used up his equipment, like we said earlier.
That's one of the dangers of pushing, is using up those tires and having to make these unscheduled pit stops or having to make more pit stops. Cameron Foss slowed down the front stretch. Doesn't look like he's gone off track recently.
A lap or two ago, I brought up the time difference between Alexander and Lucas for first and second. Turns out it might have been a fluke. Alexander Hjoller is increasingly now to 3.6 seconds. He is pulling away from Lucas Haller. Roska, as Lucas Haller, what would be going through your mind right now if you were in his shoes? You had a little bit of a gain, you thought you were making ground on him, but now he is just driving away.
I'm going to wonder two things. One, how much equipment has Kjoller wasted pushing away? And how much equipment have I wasted trying to catch back up to him? Look at the time gap the last lap. Half a second faster Kjoller was than Haller. That last lap has just been pulling away the last couple laps, just steadily faster and faster.
But one thing that might spoil Hjaller's party is lap traffic. He is coming up on the 7 of Cameron Foss. Is he going to move out of the way for him?
Down the long back straightaway. Cameron Foss stays on a predictable line. Goes one lap down. Alexander Kjoller now has a car of buffer between him and Lucas Haller. And that's going to be detrimental to Haller down these corners, as there's some grass clippings. It looks like.
What the 7 did was the right thing to do, the most sportsman thing to do. Here in road course racing, there is no wave rounds. Most of the time, there's not a full course caution. So you will not get a lucky dog or a wave around and get your lap back. The best thing you can do is just move out of the way.
Travis Farmer back in pit road. This is a second stop of the race today. Luke and Breedlove also down pit road. He's gonna go one lap down as well. Sam Bentley coming down pit road. So we're reaching.
Looks like we have our round of pit stops here.
We're past halfway. This may be scheduled pit stops. Timothy Park, Shane Wells also coming down pit road.
Now, someone I'm keeping a close eye on right now is Biscayne Lawless in the 5. Even though all the mistakes he's made, he is back up to P9, only a short 4.5 seconds away from our very own Sean Stam in P8. That's what I like about Biscayne Lawless. Even though all the mistakes he's made, he's still been able to come back, rebound, and go for a top 10.
Shane Wells coming out of pit road. Alexander Kjoller, Lucas Haller still have yet to come down pit road. Look at the pit strategy for these top 10 racers. Only Zygmunt out of the top 10 have made it down pit road.
Yeah, well, luckily it's only going to be one stop because we have 9 minutes left now. They aren't going to have to make another pit stop. But for the guys in the top 10, or for everybody, but mostly the guys in the top 10, and especially Alexander Hjoller and Lucas Haller in P1 and P2, these pit stops are going to make or break your race. If you have a very bad pit stop, overshoot your box, speed, whatever, it could cost you the race.
It 100% will. It's something that race teams call the money stop. It's It's the stop that has the most slang on it. You can
As the 9 brings it in.
Lucas Holler comes down pit road for his scheduled pit stop of the race, leaving Alexander Kjoller still left to pit.
He should be in shortly, though, because there is no way, unless he is that fast, that he would be pulling away on Lucas Holler and saving fuel at the same time. He's going to be coming in a lap or two.
13 minutes left in this race. There's no way he could save 13 minutes worth of fuel if everyone else is coming in for scheduled pit stops. Surprise, surprise, Sean Stam up 8 spots this race, sitting P3. Sean Roberts
Yes, but
just
has
ahead of
he
him,
pitted?
P2.
Has he pitted?
These two have yet to come down pit road.
Track is getting dusty, though. I don't know if you guys saw, but on Sean Stam, he had his windshield wipers going. And last I checked, it is definitely not raining. Looks like a lot of people are clipping the grass, throwing that dirt onto the track. As he goes off himself. Luckily, he saves it. A lot of people have done the same exact thing he's done.
Sean Roberts off the grass, trying to get around that 7 machine to Cameron Foss. That's going to slow him down a bit. Cameron Foss, a reminder, is 1 lap down currently. In 20th position as he goes off the track right in front of Lucas Holler.
That's got to be distracting. We currently have 3 cars a lap down. Luca and Breedlove in the 247 Ferrari machine. The 09 of Travis Farmer, unfortunate story in the Porsche. And the 7 of Cameron Foss in that Mercedes-Benz AMG.
Alexander Kjoller comes in for his scheduled pit stop, as well as Lucas Chesser coming in as well.
All right, here's the money stop.
Let's keep an eye on
He didn't overshoot his box.
Let's keep an eye on Lucas Holler coming through turns 16 and 17. Where is he going to come out? And where is Lucas Kjoller going to come out as Sean Stam makes his way down to pit road? This is your Nets leader. Alexander Kjoller back on track is your race leader.
And how much time did Lucas Holler lose or gain on that 73 machine during the pit stops?
1.2 second gap. They about netted each other. So here's the battle. Kjoller through turn 4. Here comes Kjoller. Here comes Holler through turn 4 as well. Sean Roberts sitting P2 right now between Kjoller and Holler. Still has yet to come down pit road. He's up 10 positions from where he qualified in P12.
Yes, that is going to be a major disruption for Lucas Holler because Sean Roberts, in theory, on paper, should be slower. Oh, as he gets loose cutting the grass.
Keeps it on track.
Lucas Holler is going to go for the overtake. He's flashing his headlights. Move out of the way. Is he going to?
Riding on board with Lucas Holler, trying to pass Sean Roberts, while Sean Roberts still has yet to come down to pit road, get service.
As he is obviously slower than Lucas, it is going to be difficult for Lucas to make an overtake. Is he going to go for the dive bomb? He's flashing his headlights saying, move out of the way. But he is not.
This is your battle for second. Holler and Roberts. As Roberts dives down to pit road. Coming for his scheduled pit stop in the number 333 machine.
Now that majorly slowed down Lucas. Did he lose up all the time that he gained on pit road?
4.9 second gap between Kjoller and Holler. As here's Kjoller through the... Where is this? Through turns 2 and 3. We're going to pull up a track map where everyone is on track.
Yeah, as this race has progressed, everyone's kind of evenly spread out a bit. There are clusters of cars, but it looks like everyone is kind of all over the place here a little bit. as Biscayne Lawless in P11 is trying to hunt down the one of John Jennings. Do you think he's going to be able to make an overtake here? Not necessarily here, but within the next few minutes, or do you think he's going to stay where he is?
With how hard Lawless goes, as we have a car off, that's Lewis Chester going off track between turns 1 and 2. He is
Hard
one
race
lap
for Lewis
down.
Chester.
He has not has today go this way. Neither has Biscayne Lawless, but he's been working his way back up through the field. Now behind John Jennings and Ari Sitbon. Two teammates, mind you, Sitbon and Jennings. I wonder how hard Jennings is going to play defense to try and keep Sitbon in front of him, try and keep Lawless behind.
Roska, as if you were Alexander Hjaller in the 73, as the leader of the race with a currently 5-second lead, what is your mindset? What is your mindset to not screw it up, not go off, and to keep your lead and win this race?
The goal is to not focus on the car behind you. Do not focus on how close Lucas Haller is. Do not focus on how far you're pulling away from Lucas Haller. Just make sure you're hitting your marks and focus on what you're doing, and don't worry about what Lucas Haller is doing behind you. We're focused on Lucas Haller right now, trying to chase down Alexander Kuehler. The goal is to make the least amount of mistakes as possible. How you do that is you don't focus on other people. As he puts 2 tires off in the grass, but
now as Lucas Haller, what's your mindset? Kind of reversing roles a little bit, seeing how far Lucas Haller is pulling away from you. Do you push your equipment since we only have 6 minutes and change left, or do you just try to wait for him to make a mistake?
If I'm Lucas Haller, I've seen how Alexander Kuehler has raced so far this race, and I've seen how Alexander Kuehler has just been methodical throughout the race, and just try and mimic how methodical he is. And you know from watching him, he's not going to make a mistake because he hasn't made a mistake. Now, if you're chasing someone like Biscayne Lawless, you can kind of bank on a mistake because Biscayne Lawless has been off track multiple times before, and he's working his way back up through traffic. Now, if I'm Lucas Haller looking at Alexander Kuehler, I'm not thinking he's going to make a mistake. I'm thinking, how do I best mimic what he's doing to best catch up to him?
That is a very good point. And you brought up Biscayne Lawless in P11. He is actually hunting down Ari Sippin and John Sittings, both McLarens, who are sitting P9, P10. He is chasing them down. Looks like Ari Sippin and John Jennings might be teammates. Not entirely sure. Not
those
frequent member.
Those two are teammates. Peter McDade trying to chase down Brian Reyes. This is the battle for 14th. Right in front of them is Brady Woltman in 13th position, going down this back straightaway. If you're Peter McDade, you think you're faster than, say, Brian Reyes or Brady Woltman, how do you get around these two drivers without damaging your own equipment, or damaging their equipment, and trying to get around as fast as possible?
Honestly, you wait for them to make a mistake, or at least slip up a little bit. Because they're going to block for each other, as the one actually tries to make an overtake on the 51, but it is not successful. But going back to what I was saying, you gotta wait for them to make a mistake. They're teammates, they're not really gonna race each other that hard, so it's a give or take situation.
These are teammates between Ari Sitbon and John Jennings, trying to keep Biscayne Lawless behind them.
Picking up a lot of dirt in the process. Feel bad for the maintenance crew here on the grounds of Virginia International Raceway. They're definitely gonna have a lot of reseeding to do.
100%. With how many times we've seen cars go off and the amount of tire tracks we see in just that one corner alone. I wonder if the maintenance guys are going to take a off week this week and just let these guys mow the grass.
Or they just try to see if the patches will grow themselves back, and if they have to, they'll come in and grow it in.
Alexander Kuehler, your race leader, with 3 minutes 44 seconds left in this race. part of that Team Fendi Racing crew. He's got teammates in 9th and 10th. As we have a mistake by John Jennings. He's going to slip up. That one car goes off in turn 12.
Biscayne Lawless moves into the top 10.
Biscayne Lawless back into the top 10. Qualified 7th. He's working his way back up through the field. Sean Roberts, after coming out of pit road, comes out 8th. He's got Ari Sitbon, Biscayne Lawless, and John Jennings behind him.
That's an interesting paint scheme. I don't know if I think it's modeled after the Ford Performance scheme, but it's Porsche Performance. Doesn't matter. The 51 is right on his bumper, regardless if it's a Ford-inspired paint scheme or not.
That is the
He is sniffing his rear bumper.
That is the Ford Performance paint scheme. You can see the Mustang logo on the side of the car.
But if you pay closer attention, that's actually the horse from the Porsche logo, and it says Porsche Performance. I noticed that earlier in the race.
Brian Reyes into pit road, making his way out of pit road right now.
As the 51 goes left, goes right, slips up a little bit, hits the grass, goes for an overtake on the triple three.
Sean Roberts
goes off.
Biscayne Roberts also able to go around. John Jennings able to make the spot up. As Sean Roberts loses 3 positions in one turn. Kind of ironic how his number is 333 as well.
Commentator's curse, man. He was doing really well. But again, pressure. We've been talking about it all race. When you have pressure behind you, you're going to make mistakes. Now, how big, you don't know, but that was a pretty big mistake.
Very excellent recovery from it as well. Let's watch this again. Just overshoots that one corner. That was a different incident. Hold up. Here it is. Overshoots that. Are you kidding me? I think it was this one. Let's try this again.
Nope.
This looks right. Yeah, side by side into that one corner, just goes off the track. Just hard racing, but man, losing 3 positions that way has gotta hurt, no matter who you are.
Yeah, again, your little mistake there kind of showed how hard he's been pushing that car as he's gone off multiple times. Oh, as Biscayne Lawless gets a little loose coming out of the corner, corrects it. Might have lost a little bit of time there as we are approaching the last maybe 1-2 laps.
We are under a minute.
Final minute.
We are under a minute left, so Alexander Kjoller is going to be able to take the lap before the timer runs out. 30 seconds left in the race. Next time,
and Biscayne Lawless goes off. He saves it. Doesn't lose any positions. But, man, that has got to suck. As Biscayne Lawless, what would be going through your mind right now?
Don't mess up.
Pushing so hard and making so many mistakes.
What's going through my mind is don't mess up. You've made so many mistakes before. You know you have a car behind you ready to capitalize on another mistake. He's expecting you to make another mistake. Just back your corners up. Don't make mistakes. And that's going to be
2 cars behind him.
That's going to be
Sean Roberts
your trick.
and Sam Bentley. Oh, as Sam Bentley makes an overtake on Sean Roberts. Sam Bentley in the black 37 BMW makes the move on the 333 Porsche driven by Sean Roberts and advances his position, as this might be their final lap as we have run out of time.
Alexander Kjoller coming around Oak Tree onto the back straightaway, trying to chase down Brian Reyes. And I believe that is, yeah, Lewis Cheshire down the back straightaway, trying to put each of them 1 lap down. As Cameron Foss goes off the track right in turn 12. Very difficult corner to hit. John Jennings
today has
John Jennings on pit road. Alexander Kjoller really been the class of the field. Lucas Haller really no match.
Alexander Yaller today has put on a clinic, a master class of a drive as he swerves left, right.
He comes down
he comes to the checkered line. And he wins here at Virginia.
Alex Kjoller wins here at Virginia. Lucas Haller coming down the front straightaway takes 2nd place.
The closest guy next to them is 24.985 seconds behind from the last lap. I don't have live timing.
Michael Zygmunt sitting second in the Pro Class points, brings it home in third position. Alexander Kuehler, Lucas Haller, Michael Zygmunt, your top three.
Samuel Cruz brings it home in P4. Shane Wells brings it home in P5. Timothy Park, P6. Our very own Sean Stam brings it home in will bring it home in P7th. Ari Sipon and Biscayne Lawless are fighting for 7th position, but Biscayne Lawless will be no match. Ayrton Seven will finish 8th. Biscayne Lawless will finish in 9th. Great drive for Biscayne Lawless today, rebounding on many, many, many mistakes.
Here comes Sam Bentley, gonna finish P10 after tonight's event. Brady Woltman coming out of turn 17. He's gonna finish in P11. Alexander Kuehler, your race winner. Still flashing his headlights in celebration. What a drive by Alexander Kuehler. Now, if you're Alexander Kuehler, you started the race on pole, led every lap. How excited are you for winning this race, knowing you didn't make a mistake all day?
Oh, I'd be thrilled, especially with the absolute masterclass he put on tonight. I would be very, very, very happy with myself. Now, is he going to do a burnout, or what is he doing here?
We're lining up for the VIR jump. All the drivers are going to line up single file on the back straightaway, take turns taking a jump. We're going to rate them, and whoever has the best jump gets a bonus 20 points added on to their race score.
That is a pretty sweet bonus. Why didn't I race tonight?
Lucas Haller finishing second position. If you're Lucas Haller, you started second, you chased down Alexander Kuehler all day, finished second. How frustrated are you at yourself for not being able to catch Kuehler, or are you excited that you were able to maintain your second position and just keep adding to your points?
I would be very happy as Alexander Kuehler does a burnout waiting for the jump. Really good burnout, honestly, with the fact that you don't really have traction. The traction control is on. Great burnout from Alexander Kuehler.
Celebrating in that makeshift chicane down the back straightaway.
Burning up those tires. Great burnout. Great win from Alexander Kuehler. An absolute clinic. A masterclass. As the rest of the drivers looking at Alexander Kuehler, what is your mindset? Is he going to be the leading driver going into the next few races, or is this just a good track for him?
If you're Alexander Kuehler, this is your second race here. You didn't run well at Watkins Glen. Now you come out here and dominate. I think this is just either one of his better tracks, or he just struggled last week at Watkins Glen. So we look forward next week. We're racing at the Circuit du Le Mans, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, famous circuit mix between a street circuit and a purpose-built racetrack. A whopping 8-mile circuit. That one's going to be fun to both race and commentate.
Yeah, Circuit du Le Mans is a perfect track for these GT3 cars. Long straightaways, hard braking zones, lot of tough corners. It'll be fun to commentate that one.
As we pull up the final results, the top 18 here. You see Shane Wells wins the AM Class Series, finishing in 5th position. Sean Stam and Ari Sitbon rounding out the top 3 for the AM Class.
Great race that the guys put on tonight. Hopefully the viewers at home enjoyed it.
Now it's time for some interviews.
Maniac, how the fuck are you in fifth?
Alexander Kjoller, what a drive.
It was decent, I guess.
What a drive. Qualified on pole, started on qualified on pole, led every lap. Now you just won the race. How are you feeling after that absolute clinic of a drive?
Feeling pretty good, getting some much needed points to catch up to Lucas, so that's always good. And yeah, good race and a nice track. I really enjoyed it.
Lucas Holler started second. You ran all day trying to chase down Kjoller. You being the points leader, how do you feel knowing that you let this one slip away?
Well, I knew going into it that Alex was faster than me, so I was predicting it the way it went at the end, so it's fine. I got some good points. Yeah.
Now, Zygmunt, you're sitting second in points after this race, or before this race. You finished 26 seconds behind Alexander Kjoller. Were you just trying to play it safe for points, trying to keep yourself alive, or how did you approach this race knowing you were second in points?
I don't even know that I'm second, but yeah, I'm just don't have pace on this track. Alex is, of course, faster. Mm, that's it.
Yeah, what a drive by you three.
Okay.
Any last comments by you three?
Don't think I have any.
No.
Shane Wells leads the points for the AM class coming into this race. Absolutely dominates the AM class. Finishes fifth overall. How you feeling?
Feeling good, mate. Thank you. I'm feeling good. Sigmund, you've got pace everywhere. I don't know what you're talking about, but
Man, Sean Stam, our very own Sean Stam,
Woohoo!
finishes second in the AM class. That was a blast watching you drive, taking on your own teammates. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm sweating. It honestly feels weird to be on this end of things on the interview side. Um, man, I hope that was a fun race to watch for you, and I believe it was Robert up there in the booth with y'all. I appreciate you coming on and getting this thing broadcasted for us.
Absolutely. It was a blast up here in the booth watching you guys watching. I was going to say struggle, but Alexander Kjoller, you didn't look like you were struggling out there.
No, I had decent pace. I enjoyed it, so always nice to take home all the points and basically do a hat trick, I guess. So
Yeah, absolutely dominating by you. And then Ari Sitbon, what a drive by you coming back. You qualified farther back and just drove your way through the field. How was that drive?
Yeah, it was a long race, but that's my first podium. So in my second season, so a lot of emotion, but I'm happy to be here.
Shane Wells, you're leading the AM points. How confident are you going into Le Mans next week, thinking that you can go 3 for 3 for winning the AM class and try and extending your points lead?
mate, I'm winning the season. No, I'm joking. Listen, Le Mans isn't my strongest point, but I've got the team behind me, man. I gotta say, you got Zygmunt up there, you got Bentley killing it. Cruz is putting me on my toes, pushing me. Got Sherwood behind and Nick Mayer when he shows up. So I thank the boys, mate. And I'm out here for racing, so we'll see him next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Sean, are you wanting to race next week? After racing with the boys this week and doing so well, do you want to try and go for that AM class win? Try and go after Shane, try and stop him from going 3 in a row.
Goodness, the pace out of Mr. Wells, it's going to be hard to catch him, but it's definitely something to think about. I'll have to think about it on a clearer mind here. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I was sweating just up here in the booth watching you guys struggle out there. There were a number of times you guys were going off track. Not you, Killer. You were absolutely phenomenal.
Thanks.
You too, Lucas. That was fun to watch you two trying to go after, trying for you to try and chase down Killer. There were times where you were faster in catching. There were times that Killer was just pulling away. During those times where you were faster and gaining on him, were you knowing that you were faster and just trying to do what you were doing to catch him back up?
Well, I was fuel saving to be honest at the middle of my first stint, so I think at the end when I had enough fuel to make my strategy work, I kind of pushed a bit, but then seeing the gap kind of get bigger, I kind of stopped doing it and kind of conceded and trying at least.
Yeah, there's that balance of do you push or do you let off
Yeah.
and yeah. Very hard to do. That's it for tonight here at the virtual Virginia International Raceway. My name is Ben
Thanks.
Chris Roscoe. Alongside myself is Robert McKay. We're so glad you joined us tonight. I got to catch my flight home. We'll see you next week at Le Mans.